How's it going, everybody? Ramon here. Wahoo Surf Films back at you with another episode of Meet the Photographer. Today I have with me John Reiter, and he's going to tell you guys about how he got into water photography, and moreover, all the other amazing things that he does.
Yeah.
So, John, let's get started. The show is yours.
Yeah, my name is John. I'm born and raised Kailua, Oahu, and I've always been in the water. I mean, growing up, my parents always had me in the water, swimming, surfing, diving. They kind of did the whole thing, and I was always in the water. And I really got into surf photography when I was probably around like 9, 10 years old, and I was using the GoPro like 2 or 3, and I was going down to a little shore break by my house called Flagpoles, and I'd go out there and I was with my friend, and I was just getting these little small 1-foot little barrel shots, and it's so interesting how far I've come shooting on a little GoPro and 2-inch to 1-foot waves.
Yeah.
And now I'm shooting, I'd say decent sized waves now.
Right, yeah.
So how it kind of progressed after that was like, after this GoPro, I need a little nicer camera, right?
Yeah.
You can only do so much with the GoPro, right?
Right, you can, yeah.
And so I moved up to a little DSLR, not like the top end, so I was kind of trying out the Sony, it was NEX5N, and I was trying that out, and I had a plastic housing to go around it. I got it for like $100 on eBay. So I was doing that for a little bit, and I was like, yeah, I could probably upgrade another time, So then I got the camera I'm still using today, Canon 7D Mark II, and I use just my main lens is a 50mm, but I also use a little wide angle stuff, but I'm using the Canon 7D Mark II, and I also use SBL wire housing.
Yeah.
And I got that housing, that whole setup maybe about 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's kind of been my setup since then. Yeah.
Cool. Lens-wise, what's your go-to lens, and how do you choose which lens you want to use? Is it all dependent on the conditions, or like, how do you gauge which lens combination?
Yeah,
right?
I'm a pretty simple person. Like, a lot of photographers are using, full frame, and they're using all these crazy lenses. I just use 50mm, and that's just my go-to. That's my baby,
Yeah.
Just because that background, I like that soft background, and it always turns out good. That's my go-to when shooting surfing.
Yeah.
And when I'm doing if I want to try out some new stuff, I'll use my wide angle. It's a 10-22, and that works great for me underwater, especially in the half and halves when I'm doing like little diving, dolphin dives, or underwater things. I'm always using that wide angle.
So, how did you get involved in water sports altogether? Because I see you wearing the shirt, so I'd like you to go ahead and just talk about the shirt and just about being involved in the water and how it's helped you progress as a surf photographer. And then a little later we'll start touching on the juicy stuff with him being out at Waimea and at the back in February. It's definitely the biggest day, they're saying, in 5 years, so at least. So yeah, we'll talk about that. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I started swimming my parents started me swimming when I was 7 years old. So I was on the club team I've been on the club team for 11 years, So
wow.
I've been in the water. I probably spend more time in the water than I do on land. That's just how I am. I love the water.
Yeah.
And, I swam competitively. I played a lot of other sports too, soccer, baseball, basketball. I played everything. But I always came back to swimming. It was my, I feel the most intact and in tune in the water.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how that's where I feel the most alive.
Yeah.
And so I've been swimming competitively since then, and over the past couple of years, I've really accelerated in terms of swimming.
You have.
And, I recently just competed at the Olympic trials,
Nice.
the Olympic team trials in Omaha, and I'm happy where I'm at right now, and I see a lot of progress and a lot of potential in the next couple of years.
Yeah. So what school did you actually go to?
Yeah, so I go to Iolani, or I just graduated from Iolani. And I will be attending Cal Baptist University in the fall, so in a couple months. So
okay.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'll be swimming there, and Iolani is a lot of fun. I don't know where I started. I wouldn't say I'm smart, but I keep up over there. So.
Yeah, so he's super humble, as you can see. So, but yeah, Iolani grad right here, Olympic swimmer. I think in 4 years you'll be at the next summer games.
Yeah, 3 years. I think.
Yeah, you even had some friends competing this year, didn't you?
Yeah, I know a couple people. My friend Michael just competed. He's excited, and I think he's gonna do really good.
Nice.
Yeah, and my friend Lydia just won a gold medal last night, so
there you go.
Crazy. Yeah, I was super excited.
Yeah.
And they actually had a training trip out here in Hawaii, just 2 weeks ago actually.
Yeah.
They were training at Iolani, so I stopped by the pool. I said hi to them, and
wow, that's
it was
so
pretty cool. It was
Yeah.
pretty cool watching them, just training. I've never been more entertained watching them practice, and it's so cool.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. So yeah, let's talk about the big day at Waimea.
Oh gosh.
And Magic Seaweed also did an article on him, so I'll be putting the link down in the video so you can check out the Magic Seed spread. But yeah, let's get started with the historic Benaipa swell.
Yeah, where do I even start? I remember 2 weeks out, I'm looking at the charts and I'm like, there's no way. It says 22 feet at 19 seconds or something. Like, that's bigger than the last eddy they had in 2016. I'm like, no way, this can't happen.
Yeah.
And 3 days out, the charts weren't changing or anything. I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be real. And I remember the night before, I was like, gosh, tomorrow's gonna be either gnarly or it's just gonna be like, oh, it's gonna be gnarly.
Yeah.
I was like tripping out. I was like,
yeah.
And it's funny is that morning I woke up and I actually had morning practice. I had a 2-hour swim practice from 6 to 8 a.m.
Yeah.
And I woke up and I'm looking at the camera before my practice. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to do this. I'm gonna have to go out there after my swim practice. So
Yeah.
I had a really hard swim practice, 2 hours, and I drive up there and we're passing Himalayas and we're like, oh my gosh, it's so big.
Yeah.
And I was just freaking out. And then we got to Waimea. Luckily, I didn't find parking, but I had to drive. I parked that all the way down by Keikis.
Yeah.
That's how bad the parking was over
Wow,
there.
that's far.
And I had to walk all the way back to Waimea with my housing, my fins, and everyone's just clapping when I walk on the beach. I'm like, oh my God, it's so cool. and so I get there in the morning, and yeah, I walk on the beach. I actually brought a 12 dozen, a dozen of donuts.
Yeah, box.
And I brought them to lifeguards. And I gave it to lifeguards and I was like, yeah, thank you guys for doing everything today. And I was like, you guys mind taking me out on a jet ski? So they took me out on a jet ski. I was super fortunate. I didn't want to paddle out there anymore.
Yeah.
Because it was so
Yeah, it was.
I mean, it was fully closing out. I was like, yeah. Anyway, I got out there and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's another photographer. And it happened to be Krista. Krista was the only other photographer. It was just me and Krista.
Oh, Krista.
Basically all morning. I was out there for about 4 hours and just these huge closeout sets. I've never been more, I wouldn't say scared, but I was, I was a little.
You had respect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was such a breathtaking and like amazing experience being out there because I've never felt that kind of energy before in the water, and just seeing the waves crash, like you can feel it from the beach, and it was one of the most amazing things being out there.
It was spectacular. I was sitting at the safety of the Waimea cliffs looking down at these guys, just thinking like, wow, I don't want to be where they are, but it's amazing just seeing the raw power and the energy, coming from the ocean up here. So there is one particular set that was a closeout set. What happened with that set?
Yeah, so I guess I'll start off. I had 2 sessions that day, so I had about 4 hours in the morning and I had 2 hours in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And so I came in, I got my little lunch break, and then I didn't want to ask the lifeguards again to take me out.
Right.
So I figured I'd just swim out, It's not that bad. I think I can handle it. I'm a swimmer, I can probably take it.
Yeah.
And I paddle out and I'm like halfway, and I'm in the middle of the bay, directly in the middle, like the worst spot if one of those closeout sets come.
Yeah.
And I remember just on the lifeguard on the radio, they were like, everyone get off the beach, the biggest set of the day coming. And I was like, oh no. And I look back, I'm like, help. And then I look out and I'm like, it's feathering, and all the jet skis are just scrambling.
Heading
they're
out.
straight out.
Yeah,
you
they're
know?
heading out. Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to take this. So
Yeah.
I just like stopped swimming. I'm getting my breath right. I'm relaxed, and I take about 4 or 5 on the head. I just dive down. I cradle my camera really tight, and I just hang out down there for like 20 feet deep. I'm just hanging out there, letting it cool off, and I swim back up, 4 or 5 of those. And at the end, I wasn't tired, but I was like, wow, I'm alive. And
yeah.
it was, looking back at it, it's so funny thinking about it, but in the moment, I was like freaking out.
I'll just leave it at this. Any normal person would have probably drowned or ran into trouble, you know, being faced with the type of conditions that he was out, and especially that one massive closeout set.
Yeah, a lot of it's just training, and I'm happy that I'm one of those people that can do that kind of stuff. Just with my training, swimming, I'm definitely in shape for something like that, and yeah, stoked to be alive after that.
Definitely. All right, guys. Next, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the gear. So, come with us.
Yeah.
And then just walk out the frame. Cool. 12 minutes. Oh, that's
cool.
Perfect. So
I can autofocus and shoot just by holding it right there, and I can also do it from the side here. All the buttons, all the simple buttons that I need when adjusting settings. But yeah, this thing's been through a lot, and yeah, I've been through a lot with this thing. Moving on, let's see. I have my impact vest. I usually do not wear this unless it's very big, because it's a little extra resistance. So I only need it if I'm out on big days. And yeah, next on the list, the fin. These are the best fins. Surf fins, photography fins. If you're in the water and you need fins for surfing or anything, the fin, that's my favorite. They're the best, they fit the best. And I'm lucky that Connor Trimble was able to hook me up with these, so thank you, Connor.
What's the little straps on the back? What does that do?
The straps, so there's a couple different ways you can like leash strap to your ankle so you don't lose them. I like this one. There's other ones that you kind of wrap it around, but those ones are kind of get uncomfortable and they don't work as well, in my opinion. These ones are the best. They kind of just tighten on, and I've never had problems with these yet, so yeah, these straps.
Cool.
And next is my helmet, and it's Gaff helmet. Gaff sponsor me. And these are the best helmets out there. They fit the best, they look the best, and I have a big X on the back, so if you see me out there, I have X on the back of my helmet, and yeah, helmets are very important for us photographers just because they do so much. Not only is protection from surfers, they also protect us from the reef. They also give like attention when surfers are riding. They can see us with the helmets. They do so much, not just for protection from the reef, but also surfers. Also from the housing. You know, if the housing goes crazy, if you're on a big wave and you get washed through, and that thing can be flying and hit your head, you can get knocked out, and that's a spooky situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. And I also think it's really cool to see a lot of the younger people wearing helmets, and a lot of the, you know, usually you'd think it'd be the other way around, where the older generation would be more into wearing protection.
Yeah, absolutely.
But no, it's really the young guys out there that are coming up, and you know, the next generation realizing, you know, that these you can get brain injuries just like football players out in the water, and it's very important to wear head protection. So
exactly.
Cool. Awesome, John. Thank you for giving us the time. Where can we find you if we want to follow your journey on social media?
Yeah, my Instagram is john.reiter. I post kind of all my surf images on there, some swimming images as well, and yeah, give me a follow.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks, John.
Yee!
If you have a love for surfing and Hawaii, consider becoming a Patreon member, as this would not only support me, but help me bring you more behind the scenes content, stories, and action from around Oahu.